I was seated at a table on the second floor of Capitol Gallery shopping mall, feeling as good as one could expect. My wife was supposed to meet me 30 minutes ago. Perhaps she got caught up in a clothing sale and started trying things on. The only remnants of a double portion of cinnamon apple pie à la mode were the sticky traces left on the paper plate. My pipe was drawing well, the fresh cup of coffee was perfect, and I had a new book in my handbag. Before diving into the book, I let my eyes wander across the busy throngs on the lower floor. I spotted a group of 3 individuals who stood out. Everything around them seemed to fade as I focused on them. My guess was that they came from some North American indigenous tribe. The least distinctive of the trio was the old man. He was probably over 6 feet tall, wearing faded jeans over scuffed Western boots. His denim shirt was open at the neck, and he had rolled up sleeves past his elbows. His gray-black hair was drawn back tightly into a ponytail at the base of his skull. Despite casually strolling through a crowded shopping mall, he exuded a power and control that reminded me of a herd stallion I'd seen in Arizona. As the trio moved through a burst of sunlight, I was struck by the strength, wisdom, and nobility reflected on the old man's weathered face. The sunlight also highlighted the youngest member of the group as she turned slightly to speak to the old man. She moved with grace and confidence. Her nails glittered, and her sleek movements were accentuated by her stylish outfit. Her pants, fitting closely around her hips and thighs, ended at mid-calf. A delicate cord laced up from her pants waist, drawing attention to her athletic form. As she spoke animatedly, her confident posture stood out, and I couldn't help but admire her presence. The third person was more imposing than the others, bathed in sunlight as the young woman spoke to her. She had flowing hair with hints of gray, and her face carried the same strength, wisdom, and nobility as the old man's, yet it was softened with a sense of elegance. Though much larger than the others, with a solid frame and wide hips, her presence commanded attention. She was almost as tall as the man, with a powerful, graceful aura that was impossible to ignore. As they moved, I found myself imagining a conversation with the older woman. "I wish you could trade some of your attributes and look more like your daughter," I thought. In my imagination, her voice was warm and lively. "Do you think my daughter is pretty?" I answered in my mind, "She looks fantastic, and I wish you could look more like her." The voice asked, "Is there anything else you wish for?" I compared them in my mind, considering their physical traits. "Your face shows so much strength and wisdom. Hers shows a sensuality and joy for life. I wish that when you share her appearance, you also share her attitudes and knowledge." I would gladly trade some of my traits for us both to look better, I mentally concluded. As the trio stepped onto the escalator, a deep voice resonated in my mind. A good wish was made 3 times. There are 6 parts, and 6 moons are needed. 1 is gone. As you would say, the feet, so mote it be. The trio reached the top of the escalator. The old man looked at me, flashed a victory sign, and then extended one hand with all 5 fingers out. He added another finger with his other hand, folded it, and flashed the V sign again. The woman I had imagined speaking to quickly moved aside, untied, and stepped out of her shoes. Her feet were noticeably larger than her shoes. She walked barefoot over to my table and placed a turquoise bead bracelet in front of me. In a voice that could only be described as smooth and enchanting, she said, "Thank you, and have fun." I watched them as they disappeared down the aisle. Just before they were out of sight, the young woman blew me a kiss, and I could almost feel it on my lips. Maybe instead of just waiting, I should get some new shoes, I thought. I picked up my purse and the turquoise bracelet before leaving. The first shoe store I found was a large naturalizer women's shoe store. A rack near the entrance displayed trouser stockings, but they didn't catch my interest. To the side, I spotted racks of sheer and ultra-sheer knee-high and thigh-high stockings. I grabbed 4 pairs of midnight smoke knee-highs and 2 pairs of suntan. I also found 2 pairs of shimmery nude thigh-high stay-ups. Sitting down on a fitting chair, I slipped off my size 10W loafers and removed my socks. I opened a package of sandal foot-style knee-highs in size 8. In my mind, I heard the old man's voice again. 1 is done, the first moon has passed, 5 more to be complete. I put the knee-highs on and looked around. The well-dressed women's sales clerk seemed to ignore me, a slightly overweight man. I realized I needed to buy some shoes from this store. Resigned, I decided to help myself. I spotted a foot measuring scale on the other side of the fitting area. Before heading over to it, I put the bracelet on, not wanting to lose or break it. It was a tight fit, and I feared the cord wouldn't stretch enough to get it over my hand, but it finally slipped past and settled comfortably on my right wrist. As I adjusted my cuff over the bracelet, one of the saleswomen asked if I needed help. Within minutes, I had purchased a pair of white nurse's shoes in size 9B with a 1-inch heel. On a whim, I also picked up a pair of fluffy mules with 2-inch heels. I wore my new shoes out of the store, discarding the old ones in the trash can by the register. I returned to the snack area and grabbed another coffee. The new shoes felt great. But why was I now seeing images of my feet in various stunning spike-heeled shoes? In the images, my legs were visible, beautifully clad in hose, and the shoes changed with each vision, showcasing different pedicures. As I examined my feet, I wondered what had prompted me to do something so unusual. My conservative wife would likely have a fit. I'd be lucky if she didn't insist on separating. More likely, though, she would be so angry at seeing me in women's shoes that she'd suffer a stroke or heart attack. I was about to find a men's shoe store when my wife arrived. Since I was facing the aisle, my new shoes, along with the Naturalizer store bag, were very visible. Well, it's about time you bought some decent shoes. Did you get walking shoes or something for the gym? Of course, we had to stop by a few more shoe stores. By the time we left the mall that day, I had purchased 2 more pairs of shoes, both in women's size 9B. Over the next few weeks, nothing extraordinary happened, except for the fact that my wife and I managed to lose about 5 pounds each week. We were going to the gym 5 days a week, eating sensibly, and, surprisingly, discovered a joy in walking. My wife and I had been experiencing temporary shooting pains in our legs, especially after the gym or our walks. We went to see the family doctor, who assured us it wasn't anything serious, just phlebitis caused by our rapid weight loss and more intense exercise. He prescribed 16 to 20 millimeters of mercury surgical support thigh-high stockings or pantyhose, instructing us to wear them whenever we weren't lying down, until at least a month after we achieved our fitness goals. After a few weeks, we returned to Capitol Gallery Mall. I had visited the specialist again about a rough, discolored spot on my back. The biopsy results were clear, no cancer, and follow-up appointments were scheduled every 4 weeks. In the mall, my wife mentioned she needed to get some shoes for our walks. 3 shoe stores later, she bought a pair of calf-length boots with a 2-inch stacked heel. I ended up with a pair of strappy sandals with a 1-inch platform and a bold 5-inch spike heel, as well as calf-length boots with a 4-inch spike heel. My wife also had me get ankle boots with a 4-inch stacked heel for walking. As we headed to the next store on her list, I warned her that wearing those spike-heeled boots would attract attention. People will notice you. Did you see her husband in high heels? I said. She was calm. You always wear loose shirts, so the hip movement from those boots will distract most people. Add a little hair fluff and lipstick if you're really concerned, and voila. No one will even notice. Besides, your hips are still as wide as ever, you'll need new slacks soon. As we passed the food court, I thought I heard a deep, accented voice say, "A good wish was made 3 times. There are 5 parts left, so 5 moons will be needed." As you would say, the hips, so mote it be. These stockings are hot, she commented as we entered one of the women's departments in a high-end store. I had envied her for switching to skirts just days after we started wearing pantyhose. At least around the house, you'll be comfortable, she said. This store has a closeout sale on fashion shorts and skirts. I'll raid the racks, and you'll try them on. We'll find several pairs in no time. Don't worry about style or color, these are just for home. The kids were grown, and we had the time and resources to enjoy ourselves. We decided to explore different conventions, exhibitions, and special showings within a 600-mile radius. Our plan was to drive a day or 2, enjoy the event for a couple of days, and drive back. Twice a month, we thought, would be fun. Our first choice was a 2-day gemology and jewelry exhibition about a day and a half away. Since we were late to book, we ended up with a package at one of the more expensive hotels. Over the following weeks, we both continued losing weight. She seemed to be losing it all over, while I was mainly shedding it from my waist. I loved wearing the shorts we had picked, but they were a bit tight due to elastic inserts causing them to ride higher on my body. As usual, my wife had a solution. Stretch panties under the pantyhose or stockings kept everything firmly in place. The drive had been pleasant until the air conditioning quit. We stopped at a motel and got directions to the nearest dealership. The sales room was open, but the service department was closed. The sales manager, learning our situation, called ahead to the dealership, and we secured a 2 p.m. appointment to fix the air conditioning, covered by warranty. After a meal at an air-conditioned restaurant, we returned to the motel. I stripped down to my stockings, stay-up thigh-highs and a panty instead of pantyhose, and flopped onto the bed. My wife changed into loose shorts, a sleeveless top, and her calf-high walking boots. As a joke, she laid out a pair of knee-length shorts, walking boots, and a sleeveless top similar to what she was wearing. I was tempted to try on the outfit, but I pointed out that without a bust line, I wouldn't pull it off. With a grin, she handed me a stretch camisole with a built-in padded underwire bra. I pulled it on, and wasn't surprised when she handed me a pair of heavy, liquid-filled rubber balls wrapped in some of her old pantyhose. With the balls tucked into the bra cups, I had a bust line. It didn't take long to get dressed, fluff my hair, and apply a touch of lipstick. During our hour-long walk, we turned several heads. The facial expressions we encountered ranged from admiration from men to envy from women. The following morning, my wife challenged me to wear the same outfit for breakfast, and I agreed. It was already hot and humid, so I decided to wear it for the drive that day as well. On the way to my specialist appointment, my wife told me we would be shopping for women's pants for me. With the weight I had lost around my middle, I needed slacks that were tailored for my narrower waist and fuller hips. We parked at the Capitol Gallery Mall and made our way to the food court. As we sat down, I thought I heard a deep, accented male voice say, "A good wish was made 3 times. There are 4 parts left, so 4 moons are needed. As you would say, the waist, so mote it be." We had both stepped down from our various committees, citing travel plans. Over the past 2 months, we had each lost 40 pounds. At 5 feet 10 inches, I was still well built, especially below the belt. My wife, at 5 feet 4 inches and 180 pounds, needed almost a completely new wardrobe. I suggested that I dress full-time as her girlfriend to help us both lose more weight, and she agreed. Since we were heading to Montreal the next day, we could visit a store we'd found that carried a large selection of chest forms, gaffs, and other aids for female impersonators. The next day, after visiting the store, I left with a 44-inch bust line, which bounced realistically under my blouse. I also had a 30-inch waist and 42 hips. We both continued losing weight. By the time I saw the skin specialist again, my chest measurement had dropped from 41.5 inch to 38, but my bust line had increased from 42 to 44, and it was all natural. I had only lost 10 pounds, bringing me down to 165, while my wife had dropped another 20 pounds, now weighing 160. For the first time, she weighed less than I did. She jokingly attributed it to magic and me wearing women's clothes. The dermatologist was pleased with my progress. The spot on my back was fading. She also wanted to check my chests, mentioning something about rapid tissue expansion causing skin damage. After examining them closely, she told me I was lucky. I had chests and skin any 25-year-old woman would envy. We had planned to attend a formal dinner theater the following weekend and another 2 weeks later in Toronto. With my new shape, it was clear I'd need to wear a formal dress. To get me into the spirit, my wife had found a place offering a complete makeover, including a full body and facial wax, pedicure, manicure, and instructions on hair care and cosmetics. She booked us both for the 2-day treatment. As we pulled into the parking lot for the appointment, I thought I heard the same deep, accented voice say, "A good wish was made 3 times. There are 3 parts left, so 3 moons are needed." As you would say, the bust, so mote it be. I can't fully describe the experience. While the preparation was sometimes painful and involved a lot of effort, the thrill of walking into a theater in a form-fitting dress that whispered, "This is a beautiful woman," was incredible. Knowing that my hairstyle and makeup were perfect, that every detail was in place, and that the jewelry, earrings, watch, and pendant added to the overall effect, felt heavenly. The Toronto theater event was another success, though we had a small issue. My wife continued to lose weight at a rate of 5 pounds a week, so we had to get her a new dress for the event. The dermatologist seemed concerned about something, but wouldn't discuss it. She took several skin tests with a small hollow needle and sent me to a private clinic for additional tests. I was also scheduled for a series of tests before my next appointment in 4 weeks. I had been losing weight all over. At 155 pounds, I needed new bras, as the bands were becoming loose. My skirts, shorts, and slacks were all fitting more loosely, but beyond bras, I only needed new panties. My wife had also continued losing weight at 5 pounds per week. Now at 140 pounds, she needed a whole new wardrobe. We had booked 3 extended bus tours over the next 4 weeks, and she only wanted to buy casual clothing, assuming she would continue losing weight. However, she insisted we also get new nightwear. Over the past few months, she had bought some beautiful nightgowns for both of us. However, due to our nightly activities, especially when we were out of town, they had definitely seen better days. As we walked through the center of the mall, heading toward a boutique, I thought I heard a deep, accented male voice say, "A good wish was made 3 times. There are 2 parts left, so 2 moons are needed." As you would say, the face and hair, so mote it be. Each of our 3 trips had been enjoyable. The hardest part for me was managing my hair. Over the past several weeks, it had grown darker and longer. I loved the way it swirled around my neck and shoulders, especially when they were bare. My weight had stabilized at 148 pounds, and my wife stopped losing weight when she reached 125. This morning, we arrived at the clinic and had to wait over an hour before the tests could be done. The dermatologist, along with a general surgeon and an oncology specialist, gave me a complete physical. Due to the delay at the lab, it would be a while before I heard anything. Now, I was sitting at a table on the 2nd floor of the Capitol Gallery shopping mall, feeling good but nervous, waiting for a call on my cell phone. My wife was supposed to meet me here 30 minutes ago. Maybe she had found a clothing sale and started trying things on. The only traces left on the paper plate were the sticky remnants of a double portion of cinnamon apple pie à la mode. A pipe was lazily smoking on the table. I had a fresh cup of coffee in front of me, which was perfect, and a new book waiting in my handbag. I thought I heard that same deep, accented male voice again, saying, "A good wish was made 3 times. There is 1 part left, so 1 moon is needed." As you would say, the knowledge and understanding, so mote it be. Am I wishing or dreaming, or is this real? I wondered, as I lost myself in the curls of smoke drifting from the pipe at the far end of the table. If you appreciated this story and wish to show your support, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to my channel.